My name's Rianne.
My name's Evan.
I chose to do the out of Auckland practicum and was sent to a small town called Waitara. It's about 20 minutes out of New Plymouth. The population is only about 7,000 people, so it's a very small town. And I was put in the Waitara East Primary School in a new entrance class of about 15 to 20 kids, depending on when they would come in.
I did my out of Auckland placement in a town called Waitara down in New Plymouth into the Taranaki region. It's around 7,000 people with one roundabout. There's around 270, 280 kids in the school. I was in the senior syndicate with around 25 kids in my class from grades 4, grade 5, and grade 6.
I was extremely lucky to be staying with the lady that worked the head office of the school. It was just me, her, and her little dog, which was nice to get a good feeling of being at home, being in a real house with a little puppy, and she really became my family, took me in, and I got to know her family as well, so I got to know her kids and her grandkids, and because of that, I really formed a whole community I could rely on, and they taught me so much and exposed me to so much. So for example, some of her close friends decided to bring me boar hunting, which is something I don't think I would have ever gotten the chance to do if I didn't immerse myself in a small community like this. Her granddaughter also brought me to her farm where I helped move some cattle around and fed some horses. They're just following us. And she also brought me horseback riding, which was so much fun.
Being placed in a rural school is really cool because you build awesome relationships with teachers in the community, and you end up living with some of the staff members, like I did with the vice principal and one of the Te Reo Māori coordinators. And so it was awesome because I was able to learn so much about the culture and also just the history of the small town. Living with staff was great because I was able to ask questions about different Māori cultural practices if I had any questions, and they were able to help teach me Te Reo and multiple things about the community as well.
I think being in a rural placement, they're more aware of what's going on in your life outside of school because they know that you're kind of by yourself, so they really try to immerse you right into the town and include you in everything, which is such an amazing learning experience.
And when you're placed in the school, we really became entrenched in that community as well. The staff were really great with taking us under their wing and showing us around the region. We went playing squash with one of the staff members, went on a bunch of hikes with a couple of them, and they showed us around the town. I was taken to a few of their whānao's living places and got to meet a bunch of really cool people in the community.
I think one of the big differences between being in a rural town versus being in a school in Auckland is that I got very close not only to the staff and my hosts and their friends and family, but also to the parents of my kids, of my students. Small towns are very close. Everyone kind of knows each other, so a lot of parents would just stay in class for an hour before school started or after school just to chat. Older students would come in after class or before class just to chat. It was kind of just a revolving door of family and friends coming in and out, so I got to know not just my students, but their whole support system as well.
One cool thing about living in a small community is that pretty much all of the kids and families are related to each other in some way. So I would have some kids in my class who had cousins or brothers and sisters in other classes, and I got to know them all, which is really unique. And kids just have a lot of spunk living in a small town. Might be because it was also a lower decile school, but they just had life and attitude, and they weren't afraid to let people know it. And that was an absolute blast to work with them. I had kids participate in fishing competitions, boar hunting, horseback riding, whatever. So they would bring in fish that they caught for the competition, or they would bring in part of the boar that they ended up winning the competition with.
I was based very close to Mount Taranaki, and on my weekends I was able to go hiking there, but also did a field trip with my class up the mountain, and being there with the locals allowed me to learn a lot more about the history of the mountain and what the Māori people believe you should and shouldn't do on or with the mountain.
Another great thing about being placed in the school where we were is that it was predominantly Māori. So We started every morning with waiatas and karakia, so I was able to actually learn some of them and what they mean and the history of them. There were waiatas about the Tokomaru, which is the water that they're able to trace their whakapapa back to. There were waiata about Mount Taranaki, and then more region-specific, like Waiata A.
Something I also got to experience that I think wouldn't have been possible if I did my practicum in Auckland was that to get to school every day, I was taking the school van. So the school van that went around and picked up the kids also picked me up during their first run. That's how I got to school every day. There's no big bus, it's just one of the teachers that will go around town and pick up a few kids because it is a small town. We got to know the kids better, play yellow car with them every morning, which is the New Zealand version of punch buggy, if you didn't know. That was something that I never thought I'd be doing, is just riding the van with the kids every day to get to school.
I would absolutely recommend doing the Out of Auckland practicum because you get placed in a community that you otherwise probably would just skip right over when you're traveling, and you get to spend multiple months in a place, so you get to explore what makes that place unique and everything about it.
I 100% would recommend to anyone to take that leap and sign up for it and go live somewhere else for 2 months. You won't regret it.
If I have any advice, do it.